times, right? All in PTO probably? Yeah, she's kicked my ass every time, so I don't think there's much of a rivalry.
I'm not sure kick your ass is a correct term. Like,
I don't think it's been close. It hasn't been close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone?
give you two of them.
That's exactly what we want. Carry on this conversation, guys. So, someone's kicked someone's butt how many times?
Well, I think we've only raced in the PTO, maybe like Edmonton, Ibiza.
Yep.
Here last year, and then here.
Were you in Milwaukee? No.
I wasn't in Milwaukee.
So maybe
no.
3 times.
Yeah, maybe 3 times. And we come from kind of like different backgrounds. I don't think, no, we raced in Mooloolaba. It was one of my like, I don't know, probably like my 5th or 6th triathlon ever. And I had a full panic attack in the waves. It was very, very scary to me. And I think you won that day.
Oh.
But I was like way back. I almost quit triathlon after that.
That would have been a while ago.
Yeah, like 2018, I was just getting into triathlon and Ashleigh was dominating.
I love how you're matching as well today.
We have actually a lot of mutual sponsors now.
Yeah, we didn't plan this, it just happened, but I guess good taste, right?
That's right.
Right, well, you're both super dominant runners. Where do you think you have advantages over each other? Just start with you.
Where do I think I have advantages over Ashleigh? Oh my gosh. I just really don't really think in that way. I think more, I'm on this like journey of self-improvement and finding out what I can do. And I love racing Ashleigh because she's such a great athlete and I want to race the best people because I think it like brings out a lot from me, and I also learn a lot when I race her. So yeah, it's an honor to be competing at the same time as her.
And Ash, where do you think you have the advantage over Chelsea?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question because Chelsea said that, yeah, like I've beaten her every time in these PTO races, but Chelsea is someone to watch all the time. Like those results are in the past now. We're in 2024. It's a new season. And yes, I'm defending champion at this race, but of course I would love to defend that. But does that really mean anything now? Probably not. I have to go and, you know, get all of my processes right across swim, bike, run and be thinking about myself to get the best out of myself. But of course, you've got an Ironman world champion that you're racing against. It doesn't really matter that I've beaten Chelsea those 3 times over the 100K distance because she's a competitor that is exceptionally fierce, is a supreme athlete, has won an Ironman world title in some of the hardest conditions that are thrown to athletes. So how can you not look at that and respect that as well? So it's definitely a mutual respect, and it's really great that we can come together in this series and race each other.
Chelsea, what have you worked on since you were last here in Singapore to possibly make you get off the bike a little bit quicker?
That's such a loaded question.
It's obviously been a long summer. Long summer in New Zealand.
Long summer in New Zealand. That's right. You know what? Like I was saying earlier today that last year was really tough for me, and I think I've just had to recommit again this season to finding out like what's possible for myself and really like digging into how good I want to be. I still feel like a newcomer to this sport, even though I think I've been doing it like 6 or 7 years now, but a lot of my competitors have been doing this since they were like 10 years old or 15 years old. They've been doing it for 2 decades, whereas I haven't been competing for that long. So while I have like a lot of confidence in my athleticism and my ability, I still feel like the best is yet to come for me. Like, I still feel that I have a lot of room for improvement. So I've been, you know, taking the steps to getting better across swim, bike, and run.
If it came down to a head-to-head on the run, Who do you think would have the advantage in a sprint?
In a sprint finish, I don't know.
Who's got those fast twitch fibres in there somewhere?
I don't know if we've ever had the opportunity to experience that. So maybe we'll find out on Saturday. But I think, you know what, we're both like pretty competitive people, and we would probably pick ourselves. You'd probably pick yourself, wouldn't you?
Maybe in a sprint finish, but wouldn't want to know what would happen before that. I'd be like running scared if I saw you around the corner, if I turned my head. Chelsea's run is unbelievable. And it was an Ironman, but you know, your performance in Ironman New Zealand was exceptionally impressive. And yeah, to run that pace over an Ironman, obviously during that time, Chelsea, I don't know her training, but I assume she's just been focusing on getting quicker for that 18K run. And it's definitely a weapon. And when you have a weapon like that, you know, everyone's going to be looking over their shoulder and hoping they don't see Chelsea Sodaro.
Does that make the story to it? A weapon of your run, Chelsea?
I think confidence is such a tricky thing. One of my coach in college, he used to say, it's much better to be gritty than to be confident. And I see that in so many of the women that I race. Like, not a whole lot of people are walking around puffing their feathers out, but the athletes in our sport are super gritty and really tough.
What else is going to be tough is the conditions. Do you think you've got the conditions nailed for Singapore, or is it impossible to train for what we're going to see this weekend?
Is Brisbane pretty similar to this?
So not typically. Like, I think Singapore has a consistent heat, I guess, all year round, and every single day is, you know, hot and humid. Brisbane doesn't have that consistency of the extreme heat and humidity, but I think we've had, a really hot summer. It's been tough training in this. The conditions we've had the last couple of days have been overcast and a bit drizzly. Yeah, it's definitely been no worse than summer in Brisbane this year. So if it's like that on race day, I do think I will be very prepared. But, you know, Singapore can be a lot hotter and more humid than what I've personally experienced these last 2 days before the race. So, it'll be interesting. And it's always so different on the race course when you're kind of at that next level. You're pushing your body to the absolute limit. And for me, it's my first race of the season. I think last year I went into the race with a lot of races under my belt. I felt like I was very race fit. I was really excited to actually get into some humidity after spending a lot of time at altitude during the year. And I did feel like I was very prepared. But this year, of course, we've had a great Australian summer to prepare for this, but I'm still, I don't know, like I'll find out on the race course for sure.
As an Aussie, she may have an advantage there in terms of knowing these conditions. Are you prepared for the conditions?
I think we'll find out on Saturday. It was quite warm in New Zealand for a lot of the summer, but it's turned to fall the last couple of weeks. So I've been trying some more unconventional, like, heat adaptation prep. And we'll see. My coach is an exercise physiologist, and he has a lab in Auckland at AUT, the university there, and they have a heat chamber. So I've been training in the heat chamber. Have you ever done anything like this before?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very
horrible.
interesting.
I think it's horrible.
It's pretty bizarre to go, like, it's like kind of maybe an altitude tent in some ways, where you're like in the heat chamber in Singapore weather, and then like you step out and the next moment you're in fall in New Zealand. So I'm curious to see how it all pans out, but it's been fun to experiment a little bit.
How important is it for both of you to be ahead on the bike so that you don't have to be overcooked on the run?
Oh, I don't know. I think that if you get ahead of yourself too much on the bike, you could be already cooked for the run. So I think it's just, you got to see how you're going and just make smart decisions on the race day. I think you can have a perfect plan and think what you can do and what you should do, what's to push, or have certain expectations, but you also need to have the mentality that you might need to adapt in that race situation depending on how you're feeling, how the weather is playing out and also what's happening around you. You have to be responsive to that. And yeah, I think that's a big part of being a professional athlete, is to come to different races on different courses with different conditions, and yeah, having that ability to adapt.
Why you both pick round 2 and Singapore to start your seasons off, considering as well, like we've spoken about, the conditions are so brutal, it's quite a challenging course? Chelsea said.
This fit into my season plan overall and kind of my goals for like the main events towards the end of the year, but I really enjoyed the race here last season. I thought that the event was spectacular. The backdrop of our course is incredibly beautiful, and the racing was so dynamic. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, similar to Chelsea, really. I had a really good experience here in Singapore. I think that for me, as an Australian who lives in Australia, I've mentioned before, like that, you know, there and back trip to Miami is huge. West Coast isn't super easy for us, and because it was a bit of a standalone event at the start of the year, it just made sense for me to focus on coming here, which is a good trip for us Aussies. And yeah, I don't think I actually would have been very ready to put my best foot forward in Miami. So yeah, I wanted to make sure I didn't jeopardize the preparation for Singapore, and now it's more seamless. I kind of can go back home and then, yeah, look ahead at the Northern Hemisphere races.
And finally, what statement would winning here in these difficult conditions say to the rest of the field?
I think that when you're beating all of these women, it says a lot about how good you are. This is the highest level of racing in our sport right now. All of the eyes are on us, and when you're able to deliver on this sort of platform, it means a lot.
Yeah, what Chelsea said, because yeah, especially coming back as 2 athletes have been on the podium, obviously there is expectation, and if we were able to perform to those expectations, of course it's always really nice.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Oh, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too hard.
You're like digging for a little bit there, but.
Yeah. That's what they wanted, but
Thank you so much.